Hey everybody, welcome back to another Thursday of Zoom Networking. Today we have on a very awesome young man. The biggest value that we get from being in real estate investment communities are the relationships we take back with us with the successful people in the community. We want to surround ourselves with as many rock stars as possible and build the best relationships possible. The young man I'm going to introduce was on stage in front of hundreds and thousands of people as a trainer and educator when I was brand new 8 years ago. And I've been fortunate enough now to get to know him, call him my friend, and he's actually my business partner. But I'd like to introduce my good friend, Mr. Brian Fine. Brian, how are you?
Doing fantastic, JJ. Thanks for having me.
Always good to see you, my friend.
Yeah. I love getting to talk to the community. So much fun.
Yeah, so we've always got so many different things to talk about. What are you going to be talking about today?
Today, I've actually had a lot of investors reach out to me over the past week and a half about underwriting their deals that we're going to lend on in Always Capital, and there's been a lot about hidden expenses in the deals that they're doing. So I thought today it'd be nice to talk about some of the things we see everybody overlook.
Great. And again, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. And Brian, take it away.
The big hidden cost in rehabs that we see people overlook every day is the utilities. They blow by that one pretty fast, and it can add up pretty significantly. Your electric and water bills can get to be $700 a month, and you drag that out across the average of a 9 month project, and yeah, it can hurt. You know, you figure $500-600 a month in utilities, and you didn't account for that in your budget. It can eat your contingency pretty quickly. So that's one of the biggest ones. Another, especially for new folks or experienced folks working in a new zip code, is the permit process, which I think JJ can tell you how awesome that is.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm dealing with a monster permit process in Southern California and city of Glendale. And it's amazing. With the advent of COVID, some cities, in this particular case, Glendale, is going to more of an online system. But what happens there is you don't have anyone to help you and walk you through and answer questions. And Glendale's it's become a bit of a nightmare, but we just got our door and window permit approved. Yay. So on another note, doors and windows should be in about a month, and then drywall a month after that, and here we go, cabinets, flooring, and everything else. So,
So JJ, how long did it take you to get that permit from
oh,
the
way
time you
long.
submitted it? How long?
Easily 3 months,
All right, 3 months. So
if
if
not
I didn't
longer.
know that, if I didn't know that, and I'm doing a rehab in Glendale, I'm sitting on a property that's easily $1 million with another million plus in renovation, paying interest on that whole thing, a tax bill that probably isn't even worth discussing, terrible utilities, and the city just decided I can hold that for an extra 90 days without being able to swing a single hammer. So that's the sort of thing that can take your profitable project and flip it negative very quickly. So permit processes, utilities, it all comes down to your timeline. How long is this thing going to take you? The faster you can do a rehab, sell to sell, closing to closing, the more you're going to make. I can tell you guys out of the last 504 rehabs I've been involved with, the average time to do them is 9 months. So if you don't know how long it's going to take you, it's going to take you a year. If you think it's going to take you 6 months, it's going to take you nine. That's closing to closing, how long they typically take. Very rarely do we see them go below 6 months. It just takes longer to get to the next closing. And you're going to be holding the property and paying those costs until that closing happens. So that's the rehab ones. That's the big hidden ones. It's not so much the termites behind the walls that you missed and that kind of thing. We have contingencies for that. It's the longer process in the project. Every single day you are bleeding. When I first started doing rehabs, one of the things I would do is figure out my per diem to hold the property. I'd take my interest rate on my loan, my taxes, insurance, all that stuff, and the utility bill for the month. I'd divide the thing out and I'd figure out what it cost me to keep that property every single day. I wrote that on a bright pink or neon sticky note and stuck it at the top of my computer screen. So every day I could wake up and see how much money I was losing today by not selling that property. It was very motivating, though maybe not in the most positive way. So that's the rehab stuff. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm looking to do a ground up construction to permanent,
Yep.
so I can live in it. What
Okay.
what does that process typically look like, and how would you look at it as far as the eyes of a lender?
So as a lender, you can build it in your LLC with the intention of selling it. You can buy it out privately. You cannot at least use the kind of lending we do to occupy the asset while we have a note. So that's one thing. You cannot personally live in it. We only do business purpose financing. That's across the board. And do you know why? Have you seen that as a lender or gator? Okay, there are two entirely different sets of foreclosure laws. One is for consumers and has a ton of protections. You cannot pay your mortgage for 2 years and still redeem that before foreclosure happens. The other is business purpose. What we do is investors, and that there's no recourse. You're gonna lose the asset for not performing. So when we do our lending, I will only use it if I cannot have an owner occupant. It's an immediate violation. The note becomes due instantly. So can't live in it. You can certainly build it though. You're just going to build it in your LLC, and the intended exit is to sell it. You're just the end buyer, and that'll be your refinance out.
What about the build to rent model?
Uh, okay, so that's fine because it stays in an entity, right?
Hmm.
Nothing wrong there. The challenge with build to rent, you said you're a contractor, I think, I heard earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, the challenge is getting your dollar per square foot low enough for it to make sense. Because the retail is about, well, not retail, average investor price is probably around $200 a square foot. So if I got to build 1,000 square foot unit, I'm 200K into it. If I can't rent that for about like 2,500 bucks a month, it's not worth the effort or the risk. You might as well go on the MLS and pay 200 grand for a condo and rent that. So it's the build to rent, if you could really crack the code and get it done, would be the perfect business model. Basically, nobody can though. It's just too damn expensive. So if you can figure it out, if you can get one to pencil, then they're a lovely deal. It's a big burr. Your giant rehab followed by a takeout. So now a thing I've been looking at, Jay, and we can talk about this more if we discuss it later. Is we've been discussing with a couple of modular home builders. They can help with the not so much the cost. They cost about the same. There might be a little room in there, but they cost pretty similar. But their speed is much higher. So if they can knock 25% off the timeline, that might be enough to tip the scales and make it work in certain zip codes.
What about manufactured housing? So,
That's what I mean. They
oh,
build
okay,
it at the
okay.
factory and
With
deliver it.
modular,
Sorry.
very
Yeah,
similar
yeah,
to a
yeah.
stick build. Okay.
You're right. You're right. Sorry. My bad. The no, build it factory, delivered, set up on permanent foundation, same code, indistinguishable from stick build when finished.
Thank
Only
you.
difference is we're paying shipping, but we get the quality control. They're just net faster. And so if we can speed the thing up, because ground up is a big rehab. If I can get it done 20% faster, I make 20% more. That's a big deal. Like it's great. So we've been looking at that. Most of the manufacturers don't really work on a payment structure that works for lenders. That's the challenge with the adoption on it more than anything. These guys I've been talking to, they actually structured theirs to specifically work with lenders, which is sort of attractive. So it would be a conversation to see if something like that could make sense. But yeah, it's a cool thing. I think actually that's a way to do stuff in mass. That's if I wanted to build to rent or something like that, that'd be a great way to do it. Also, basically kills your risk. The project is just done.
Hmm.
So that's a little more attractive. So something worth exploring for sure. Before you dive into this, you're going to want to own the land free and clear. And before you buy the land, you'll get reimbursed for the land, but just buy it. Don't mess around trying to get a loan to buy the land. Buy the land, then go to the local zoning office, permit office, and everything else. find out the costs and the timelines for all their stuff, what they're going to need for drawings and all that. That's basically our scope of work, right? Same thing as a rehab. I need a solid scope of work to do a ground up loan.
So,
and then you go from there.
and add all the impact fees is what you're saying, all the permitting fees and
yeah, it's not so much the fees. I mean, there are some places like Southern California where they can be a little egregious. In most of the country, they're not too terrible. They're just, local government money, no big deal. It's the time. I don't care if they want $3,000 for a permit. I do care if they want $3,000 in 6 months to do it.
Got it.
Okay, so we want our permits done fast. It's all timeline. There is no project that benefits from going longer. Faster it's done, the better off we all are. Everybody. That help?
That sounds good to
Helps
me.
a lot. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, ground up is a big rehab. That's how we look at it. In some ways it has more risk, and in other ways it has less. So it kind of is a wash. It's just a bigger project. It has less risk in that we don't find magic things behind the walls. I mean, we're putting them up. It's fine. It has more risk in that scope creep. It's a bigger job, thus more likely to run into issues. And so the number one factor in ground up is experience. The deal you get doing it the first time is not that sexy. The deal you get doing it the 50th time is pretty cool.
So what I'm planning on doing is buying the land, JVing with a builder, using the builder's experience. So you will use the builder's experience
Yeah. They'll need to be. They need to go on the loan.
on the loan.
Yeah, that's how you do it. But yes, let's set up a call, Jay. We can have that conversation. I'll
Awesome.
take you through
Thank you,
that.
brother. Appreciate it.
Sure thing.
And Jay, I'd love to share some of my stories, good and bad, with what I'm doing. I would say just right off the bat, when you engage a contractor, do not allow your contractor to say, I have an architect. You're going to need an architect. You're going to need plans. But what happened with me is when I fired the contractor that brought me the architect, guess what else I lost?
The architect.
The architect.
Mm.
So you do not hire a contractor who has an architect, no matter how close they are, friends. The architect was married to the designer. I couldn't stand her. So what could I not do? I couldn't fire the designer because she's married to the architect. So be really careful of that one-stop shop for everything. If anything, let you be the one-stop. I've got my own plumber, my own electrician. I've got my own HVAC guy. I've got my own pool guy. I've got my own security camera guy. I've got my own mechanical blind guy. I've got my own framers. I've got my own welder. I'm not dealing with subs. And do you need to do that? As I network everywhere I go, I'm keeping everybody's name and number. And so, the best you can, whatever you can do, if you can start putting your team, and that's going to be your partner because he's a contractor. But I'd say look around. Don't lock in. Tell me you had 85 different people tell you, no, I'm not using your architect. But don't be sold on that if at all possible. And looking at 2 or 3 other people is always going to help you.
Love that. Thank you, guys.
All right, brother. Let's stay in touch.
Yeah, how you doing, JJ? Everybody, Brian. Yeah, just real quick. I may be off topic, but you say like hidden costs. What about unexpected adjustments? Like I bought a 4 unit at the end of 23, and everything was going fine, and 24 was good, but like around April 25, the taxes adjusted on me, and they went up almost double. And everybody know what happened with insurance, man. How could I have foreseen something like that, man? That's like killing me right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So rentals is going to be a longer conversation. I will definitely talk about the tax thing. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep. That's a great example, though. Great example.
Yeah, and I'll just say in addition to that, just as I don't know if it goes with a rental or not, but I was in Southern California where we had those big fires. And now the insurance companies are starting to back out on insuring properties in what they consider the fire areas, and it's ridiculous. They're turning people away. Larry, you're on with Brian. What's your question?
Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Fantastic, man.
Hey, I have a question. I'm I sent an offer for a triplex
Okay.
that I'm bidding on now, which I probably will get. Um, I want lending for that, but the thing is, I have two tenants already, and the
Okay.
other one is already renovated,
Okay.
right? And they probably want to stay there for a little while. They are month-to-month basis now. How
Yep.
is the lending aspect of that? How do I get
So is
lending for that? If I, yeah,
Yeah. So as long as you don't need a construction budget, as in and the
right,
entire property is already occupied or occupiable, then you'll go straight to a long-term DSCR loan on it. So you'll get a 30-year fixed on that, and you're good to go.
so I need a DSCR loan.
That's how you would normally fund it. Yeah. If you
Okay.
know you're going to do renovation, then we have to do a rehab loan, which is fine. It's just more expensive, so you don't keep it as long. So then we get you the rehab loan. You're going to want to do the renovation, even if you have to do it while the tenant's in the unit, because like if you're doing new
Right.
floors or updating a kitchen, because you don't want to keep that expensive money very long. Finish the project,
Right.
then you refi into a long-term product, and you're done. So it's the to make that easy and you just simple for everybody on the call. If you need construction, if you need us to pay for renovations, then you're getting a rehab loan or a ground up if it's a new build, but you're getting a construction loan. If you don't, then it needs to be occupied or occupiable, and then we're going to do a long-term DSCR or a bridge loan. So
Oh, okay.
that's how
So
that
the
works. Okay.
okay, because now I got another duplex that is coming up that I'm going to look up tomorrow. It's already occupied, and
Yep.
the tenant they really want to stay in it.
That's fine.
They already
They can
got
stay.
yeah. So, but it's an investment property I'm trying to get from the seller. So I'm just trying to figure out how
Yeah,
the
no,
loan
that's
and
that's
everything. So
fantastic. So the way we calculate a DSCR for those is there's going to be an appraisal on the property to make sure it's worth what you're paying for it.
right.
We're going to get the leases as part of that and the rent rolls. So we're going to make sure that, are they paying rent? If so, what are they paying? And what's their history, right? We're going to see all that. And as long as it
Okay.
looks good and solid and it matches what's on the appraisal. So I'll just use round numbers. Let's pretend the unit's rented for $2,000 a month. And the appraisal comes back and it says it rents for $1,000 a month. That's a problem. We'll go with the $1,000 a month because we've seen before. Here's an example of a hidden cost. We'll kind of get into it, where sellers will have leases with tenants that are unrealistically high. And should that tenant ever leave or decide to stop paying, you will not be able to rent that unit at the price they have it at. So if they say,
Okay.
okay, well, I can rent this unit for $2,000 a month, and here's the tenant, and they're doing great. And the day after you buy it, the tenant's like, yeah, I'm out, I quit. You can't rent that unit for $2,000. Now you're at $1,000 a month instead, and that's a massive problem. So we're going to go off of the appraisal for the rent amount too, and we're going to use the lower of those two numbers. So that's
Okay.
how we stop you from getting burned by that, because we don't want you burned by that. If you start losing money, you might not be able to pay us, and that would be really bad. So we're
Right.
going to make sure the deal works.
So that means you go into it and just make sure the appraisal and everything it's
Yep.
what it is before. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually if you want to talk about just difficulty of getting a loan, the DSCR loan, the long-term loan, is a little bit harder than the rehab loan. Not a lot, but a little bit. We look a lot closer because it's a much longer commitment.
Okay.
Okay, that helps.
Sounds good. So that helps a lot. So that wouldn't even matter how much I'm trying to my offer is going to be at right now, right?
I
Well,
don't care.
because I'm trying to put it under contract.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can put it for
It
whatever you
doesn't matter.
want.
So
We're
with the appraiser, whatever.
Yeah, well, the appraiser, basically, an appraisal is either going to come in for what you're buying it for or less. That's usually what they come in at. Very rarely we see one that's a little more than you're paying it for, but but usually it's your number or less. If it comes in less, that's a problem. So then one of two things happens. I'm going to lower my loan amount. So then you can choose to either pay the amount in difference in a bigger down payment, or you can go back to the seller and say, hey, I was going to buy this place for 200 grand and the appraiser just said it's 150. We'll buy it for 150. save yourself $50,000. That's usually how we do it. It's a negotiation point.
Okay.
That help?
That sounds good. Yep.
Mhm.
A lot. Thanks so much.
Sure thing.
AI, how are you? You're on with Brian Fine. What's your question?
Hear me. I have a question about the new bill, like Jay was asking.
Mhm.
One of the sub two members posted for 20 acre rich first for the 217 units of apartment. So
Okay.
I talked to this, and then the seller is hating the wholesale, the other two sub two member, but because he's from Taiwan, so we speak like outside. And I told him, say, since I have in the relation, like professional relationship with the other two wholesaler, I'm gonna have to make whole with them. So my question is, he's willing to hold he owned the 20 acre free and clear. He want to
Yep.
do the phase one. He said we'll hold it so we can get a construction loan, do the phase one, 417 units done. And then he will hold a second loan too, so I can get the thing. He want to partner with me, but I don't know how the construction loan.
Yeah. So here's how that would be treated.
Okay.
They have to be on the loan with you. So basically their experience counts, and they own the property. So they're a business partner in this transaction, not a seller.
And he has all the permit, everything approved by the city.
That's
right.
Great. That makes life a lot easier, right? And then the other thing we're really looking for is experience. That's a big deal. So if we can get
He's a developer in Northern Confidence and here.
perfect.
He's a contractor. He's want to do this thing.
Yep.
Because we both from Taiwan, and I built a good rapport with him. So he's if we done this, we can do the phase 2 and 3, and he want to give me the property in Sacramento too. So
great.
So-
Yeah, that works great. So he's an equity partner on the deal, and then you just arrange whatever percentages when the assets sell or get refinanced, who owns what and how they get paid.
You say I get to manage the whole apartment and then do that. So
you plan on keeping it?
Yes.
Is that the plan? Okay. So then it's just gonna be an equity split. They own whatever percentage, and you own whatever percentage, and then you'll set up your LLC like that for that purpose, for owning and holding these, and then we'll do a ground up construction loan to get them built.
Okay.
And then once they're built, and you're gonna get them permitted or tenanted up, and once they're cash flowing, then we're gonna switch you to again long-term DSCR financing on those. That's gonna kick out the expensive loans. You're done with the construction, and at that point, you're gonna keep it for usually commercial is 20 or 25 years, not 30. But that's a nice long loan.
Okay, so I will pay you guys by ASP. I don't, because my W-2 pay me enough, so I don't need that. I'm just trying to build the wealth for the kids. So
Yeah. So what will end up happening for the takeout for the long-term loan? So that getting the ground up off of us is going to be way easier than going to a bank.
Absolutely.
We're better than that. But when it comes time to the takeout, getting a bank or credit union or somebody like that to do it, we can help you with that. But they're going to be able to give you cheaper long-term money than we can.
Okay.
So as long as you got the good W-2 with a high-paying job and it all looks sexy and you can handle their scrutiny, then that's a great way to do it long-term.
Okay, and I have Navy Federal, so and USA, that should be.
Oh yeah. Now, last time, it's been about 2 years. Last time I had somebody go to Navy Federal for a multifamily over 5 units, the answer was no. They didn't do it. So yeah, they were fine with little stuff. They didn't like big. So you might want to check with them on that. Otherwise, we'd get you most likely for that stuff. I like going to credit unions. They do a pretty good deal. So we're fairly happy with that.
Okay. So currently, you guys, it's my first time to ground. I've been in the construction world, but this is the first time I'm personally gonna do the development.
Yeah. So I think JJ and I will have a speaker next month. I think we got to figure out which day from the manufactured home company, and he's and they can talk about that. That is from a lender point of view. I find their pitch very intriguing because the risk is in the construction. Right, something goes wrong during the project, and now it's going to take another 6 months, and we run out of money, and everybody's hurt, and we have these unfinished projects. That's our risk. Not so much that the market's going to shift on us, unless the project goes a really long time. So we want them done. Can you build 117 houses in a year and have them done and finished, or 117 units? Right? Can we get it done? With the manufacturing, the answer is yes, and we can do it a little faster too. So that removes a lot of risk because it's all held by them instead. And still, you have the architectural drawings and engineering and code. It's all the same. Nothing changes. So we find that intriguing. So I think bringing them on to talk about their process and how they do it would be, I think, really cool for everybody who's looking at ground up. I really like the idea. I'm thinking I might do one next year just for fun.
So if you want to point out, it's Navy Bay Channel Lake. We couldn't build enough houses for people coming in for like in China, like, like biggest, Navy base in the country.
Yep.
So and that way the Indian casinos coming to in your current. So we try to build something new, build apartments, they just houses. So for the newcomers, so that's why we are targeting.
Yeah, fantastic. It's again at the end of the day, the United States is about 7 million housing units short.
Yeah.
So there is no question that there is a demand, extreme demand. So ground up, whatever market anybody on this call is in, if you're in a market where new builds are viable, it's not everywhere, but I'd say 80% of places it would work.
Okay.
Then that's something worth looking at. It does cost a little more money to do it, not a ton. You need your down payment on those ends up being about 40-45%.
And
is
for
the total
I don't have
cost.
to pay him down payment. I just do the profit split down the line. When I
it's the big ones like you're talking about, rather than building just one house but a large multi-unit. Those are more of a narrative. Each one is kind of custom done. As long as it makes sense how things are getting paid for and how the project is carried to completion. Lenders like me are happy to listen to it. We're used to it. There is no super straightforward way to do it. You have to work the project.
Okay, so he is like the engineering permit, everything.
That's all
good
great
until 2027. It's good. The permit is good until 2027.
That's great. And then we just need to get you your ground up loan so you can start diving into construction.
Okay.
So
perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. All right, let's talk rentals then. We kind of slipped into that, but let's begin a little bit with some kind of hidden numbers. So one of the things we do at Always Capital that we kind of fell into, we didn't necessarily mean to do this, we just sort of became one of our niches. Most of your hard money lenders will not do a loan on a property under $100,000. In fact, most of the Big 10, the number is now 115,000. If the property is worth less than that, you're SOL. They don't play. So we specifically inside of Always Capital said, okay, well, we'll do the little ones. I own a bunch of them, so I'm pretty comfortable with that asset class. But we don't do anything stupid. I've got burned too many times. I've lost too much money by thinking I knew why. So I got the opportunity to sit down with the CFOs of a couple of $5 billion lending companies. And my big question to them is, why? Why not do a $50,000 rental loan on a property that rents for $1,000 a month? It's great cash flow. Who cares, right? It's not a big deal. And so they had two reasons they didn't like it. And I thought they were very interesting. The first reason is they make their money on the size of the loan. It takes the exact same amount of effort and paperwork to write a loan for $50,000 as it does for $5 million. So it's not attractive from the standpoint of they have staff to pay. And that effort, if they have a choice between doing a bigger loan and a smaller loan, they're going to pick the bigger one every time. Second, and this one was more interesting, it's not that these loans have a higher default rate. It's not that the cheaper properties fail more or anything like that. But the actual dollar amount of equity is lower. And so a worse nightmare from a lender point of view is not that you stop paying me and we have to foreclose and take your property. The worst nightmare is that you call me up and say, you know what, I'm done, I'm out. I'm overnighting you the keys, FedEx, it's all yours, man. I'm walking away. That is I wake up with cold sweats thinking about that. That's terrible because you just made it my problem. If I wanted to buy the property, I would have bought it, right? So instead we wanted to be a lender. If that happens, I have to go do all this work. Well, now the actual equity in the deal is very small in dollars. So if I have a $50,000 property and you have 20% equity in that, what is it, 10 grand? $5, yeah, like it's a very small amount of money. It's easy to say, you know what, forget it. This isn't worth my stress. I'm going to die here. If that number is $150,000, $200,000, you're not going to walk away. It's too much money. You have to finish the deal. So when we get to these smaller ones, that's why the lenders don't like it. Does that make good sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So we'll do it. We're okay with this. But I'm not stupid. And so, like I said, we own a lot of these smaller properties. So let me give you guys a couple of little stats. You might want to write these down. This is from my portfolio in Pittsburgh. I got to get used to this. I officially don't own 300 properties anymore. We're at 290 now. We sold 16 units. So I'm under 300 again. A lot of our units are Section 8, small single families and small multis in those lower sub 100K price points. I got about 100 of those. So we have quite a few of these. Our data since 2019 shows us that the average tenant stays for 2 years. The average cost of that turnover is $5,000. And the average time, this is a little bit rose-colored glasses, by the way, but just the average time it takes to do that turnover from the time that tenant moves out to the time that I have a new lease in place and somebody's paying me rent again, 60 days. So let's do some easy math on this. Every 2 years, I need $5,000 to turn over the unit. Every 2 years, I need 2 months of rent to cover the vacancy, which means that I'm going to need $2,500 minimum in maintenance reserve on every property, no matter its dollar amount. Does everybody understand what I just said?
I believe so.
Okay. Making sure. This is the kind of thing that breaks people's brains. The bare minimum real dollar amount that I can have for a maintenance reserve on a single family asset, or multi two, it's an average across my whole portfolio, is $2,500 a year, so that I have my 5K in 24 months and I can pay for the turnover of my unit. So $2,500 a year. It does not matter what that is in percentage. You have to throw out percentages when you go below $100,000. We're not dealing in 100 anymore. We're sub 100. Percentages are out the window. So flat rate, $2,500 or 5% of rent, whichever is higher.
No, what percent of rent?
5. Unless it's a really old property, then I'd do 8.
Now, is that an annual figure?
Yeah, it's of all rent that comes in, reserve this amount. But you have to have a minimum of $2,500. So I don't care what the percentage is. You got to get your $2,500. Okay. But if I'm renting it for $4,000 a month or something, well then 5% should be enough. It'll end up more than that. It's cool. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
If I would have known this in 2019, it would have probably we'd probably be about $1 million higher in net worth. So this is not a small piece of information. The vacancy. This is kind of interesting. Nationwide, vacancy sits at 7%. That's the whole United States. The number I want to use on any property that's worth less than $100,000 is 8.33. Any math people on the call, tell me why. The percentage of rent that I want to reserve for vacancy as a minimum is 8.33.
I'm going to say over 3 years, that's 25%. I mean, 8.33 times is 25.
It's 1 month's rent.
Okay.
It's 1/12. 1/12. That's the number. Because in 2 years, I need 60 days of vacancy, which means I need 1 month a year. So I need 1/12 every time, no matter what the price of the property is. Does that make sense to everybody?
Is this like planning for financial obsolescence? I mean, we have to be prepared for things, and then we just have to have some amount of reserve handy.
You have to.
If something's going to come up.
You reserve against all of this. Otherwise, you're going to make an owner contribution. You're going to write a check. So we do not want to be writing checks. Owner contributions are bad words. And if somebody else is calling to tell you about it, it's called a capital call, which is the nastiest phone call you will ever receive in your life. You will hate it. It's the give me money or lose more phone call.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 month's rent and $2,500 in reserves for maintenance. That is your bare minimum. It doesn't matter how cheap the property is. That's the minimum amounts we have to hit, or you will not be able to afford turnover. So when we talk about hidden costs, this is a cultural thing. So this does vary across the country. In places where large multifamily developments are common, there's not much of a difference between your multi and single family tenant turnovers. In places where single families are more common, they are significantly better for turnover than multi. So the data, again, from my portfolio and a couple of my friends, stick rate on my single family tenants is about 3 years, and on multis it's really closer to 2. And so that extra year buys me that much more time before the turnover, and over the course of a decade will save me a lot of money that translates to more profit and cash flow. So that's a hidden cost. When you're looking at your magic spreadsheet of your multifamilies and say, oh, this is all sexy, I'm going to make a fortune by buying this. Just remember, your turnovers are higher. And you're going to want to take a significant look at how that is. The term is absorption rate in any given MSA. That's how quickly vacancies are filled and turnover. And that completely varies by cities across the country and property type.
I have a question there. Is this a cost that we have to incur regardless of where things are going? I mean,
No, you're going to get this. You'll get this as rent every month. You keep it in your bank account. You could spend it, but the bill is coming. At some point, you're going to write this check. So what we find, especially when you get a larger portfolio, these numbers get very large. You don't want to be handed I think my furnace bill last fall was $82,000. So it's if I didn't reserve against that, I would have to come up with that in cash on the spot. That gets a little rough. So definitely want to reserve accordingly so that we have the cash we need to keep these assets performing. And as a underwriter, when I'm looking to give you a loan, we account for this stuff. It's going in your underwriting, whether you like it or not. You can do whatever you want with the money. I don't care. But we are assuming you're keeping reserves. We're putting it into our underwriting, and we're using it to calculate your debt coverage ratio. That's the way you better be doing it, at least if you want to be successful. All right. Any questions on the reserves?
I don't think so.
I had one quick. Would apply to mobile home parks as well?
They'll have their own turnover, landlord tenant laws, enforcement rules, and all that. But yeah, same concept. It's going to cost you just as much to hang drywall there as anywhere else. So yeah, turnover will be at least that.
Okay.
It could be higher depending on your access to labor.
Right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about Larry brought up the taxes before. This is a really annoying one. It varies by city and state. They each have their own way of doing it. You're definitely going to want to deeply understand the property taxation in your market. And by deeply, I mean you want to understand how they decide how much the property is worth, how the millage is decided, which is the multiplier that decides what the dollar amount is that needs paid, and how it's reassessed. And so you want to be very, very clear on that. Some states are fairly straightforward about it. Texas and California come to mind. When it comes to the taxes, they're prohibitively and annoyingly high, but they're predictable. So every year you get a reassessment, your taxes change. Is that how it works for you, JJ?
Pretty much.
Yeah, every year. So like clockwork, the taxes are going up. So what you would do then is in California or Texas, you can go look and see historically how those taxes have changed. And then you're able to use the previous 30 or 40 years of data to extrapolate what the next decade would look like. And so by doing that, you're going to know what the taxes are. Now, the fun part about taxes is that the higher the property taxes, the more the tenants get to hurt, because we're going to pass on every dime of that cost to them. And as landlords, when we get hit with a bill, any bill, it's that cost plus 10%, because that's our profit margin. So, go ahead and raise my taxes $5,000 a year. Rent just went up $5,500, but we do it a year in arrears because that's how long the lease lasts. So you have to carry the difference. So definitely map it in to your pro forma, how that's going to look. Now, a lot of states do not do annual reassessments. Pennsylvania is a great example. Last time we reassessed anything, I think, was 2016, maybe. But they will do selective reassessments, specifically of rental properties, based on the purchase price. And so if somebody bought that house for, $50,000 20 years ago, and you pick it up today for 200 grand, your taxes are about to 4x. And so if you did your initial underwriting on the current taxes, then you're going to get a very unpleasant surprise next March. And so you need to understand in your specific market how that works. You got to know. And if I know that my taxes are going up, I will underwrite the entire deal based on the future taxes. Depending on your state, and this is more of a Pennsylvania specific thing, I can actually stop it from being reassessed. We have a structure we can use to essentially make it so that the property does not appear to sell for more. It's an expensive structure, costs us about $6 grand to do it, and requires that we do something. It's not quite a double close, but I do need a second lender to do it. So it adds a bunch of cost to the transaction. But if that saves me a couple $1,000s a year in taxes into perpetuity, it's a really good deal, and we will totally do it. So to know this kind of stuff is going to be specific to the market you're working in. You're definitely going to need to know those tax rules for anywhere you intend to build a rental portfolio. Okay. That's I think all I can say about that, because it's so location specific.
It's real quick. I think you're right, because I know in Michigan, I think around February, I'm not 100% sure of the month, you got opportunity to go in there and have it reassessed.
Yeah. Does it happen every year?
Yeah, every
or only
year.
when or the year after you buy it?
I think, the year after I bought it is kind of when it readjusted.
Yeah.
I'm just learning all this, so I know next year, because I missed the deadline for 25.
Yeah, and so yes, learn the process, understand how it works. You can get attorneys to fight it, though you usually don't win.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't typically work. When they do a statewide reassessment, like they do in California and Texas, you can fight it, because it's just a blanket. Here, your taxes are higher now. So you can make there's a term for it in each state. It's different, but there's a way to essentially appeal. So like Pennsylvania will probably do another one in the next 5 years. And when they do, last time, they just blanket doubled all our taxes. And so all the local attorneys are like, hey, we'll just hand us all your appeals, because, I have like 200-300 of them. We just hand them all to them, and then they just charge us half of whatever they saved us.
Wow, that's good to know. Is it the same if you buy like a rehab? I never fixed it, flip. I bought a couple properties and
no rehabs. It's about the hold, because the in a rehab you're just going to pay whatever the property taxes are for the year. You don't care. You're not keeping it long enough.
Oh, okay, right. That makes sense.
The next guy who buys it off of you and buys it at that higher ARV,
right.
They're the ones who are going to get smashed with higher taxes.
Right. Gotcha.
That's an owner occupant problem or a landlord problem, not a fix and flipper problem. We just pay our 1 year and we're done.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Sure thing, Ronnie. Thanks for bringing it up. I probably would have forgot to mention taxes as a massive hidden problem. You're right. You're completely right. You can get screwed. I bought properties that are phenomenal and then had the taxes go up and we couldn't stop it. And it took one of the nicest properties I ever bought. It's right on the river in Pittsburgh, duplex overlooking a gorgeous property. I bought it. The taxes were $2,500. The next year, the city jacked it up to $6 grand and took us from an 11 cap to a 2 cap.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just brutal. And I sold it because there's nothing else I can do. Just killed my deal.
Right. Yeah, I agree, man. And then I thought maybe they were like ripping me off, man, because the city of Detroit, I'm like, give me a break, man. I'm trying to help here. It's a
No, they
core
don't
unit.
care.
It's not commercial.
They
Yeah, they
don't
don't
care.
care.
And this does vary a little by state, but I think Michigan's this way too. It's all driven by the school districts. So they hold up it's for the children, and they
Right.
don't care
Yeah.
what they screw up to take the money to build the newest football stadium or whatever the hell they're doing that isn't teaching the
Right.
kids. So
Absolutely.
that's where they get the money.
Okay.
So yeah, they
Appreciate it,
drive
man.
it, and you will lose in court. You don't have a chance.
Well, yeah, I know you're talking about taxes. As a landlord, I'm always hearing taxes, insurance, taxes, insurance. So insurance is also one of those costs, right?
It is. It is. Though insurance lacks the volatility of the taxes. So it doesn't matter what these costs are, right? We have the hard costs for us every time. We're always going to have PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance. It doesn't matter what they are. It just matters that you know what they are and you can factor it in. I don't care what the insurance is. I don't care how much the insurance is going up. I prefer it's nothing. But as long as I know what that number is, I can map it into my pro forma and my deal and figure out if the thing's going to work in 5 years. If I don't know, if it's just chaos, hey, my taxes are $2,000 a year now, but next year they might be 6 or 10, I can't work with that. I'm not going to be able to do a deal where I assume the taxes are 5 times what they are today. But the insurance tends to be fairly stable. In the markets where insurance is extremely unstable, like California, in your fire zones, those also tend to be terrible places for cash flow in the first place. So not something we need to worry about as much as investors.
Okay.
Okay. There are exceptions, like the state of Florida is pretty screwed up when it comes to insurance. For all the great things going on in that state, insurance in Florida is a big problem. So that one can burn you too. But as long as you still understand the rules, it's not like your insurance is going to triple next year. It's going to be what it is, and you just need to know that.
Okay. So we covered taxes and insurance. Is there anything else other than taxes and insurance that's a hidden cost that pops its head up on occasion?
As much as possible for anybody doing buy and hold. You can tattoo this one behind your eyelids if you want. Do not pay utilities for your tenants. None. Include exactly nothing. In multis, this is very difficult. A lot of times you have to. Do not pay utilities. I'll give you guys a horror story. It's a good friend of mine. They got together a syndication and they bought a deal of a lifetime. They picked up a 400 unit outside of Dallas, Texas. And they got it for an amazing price. The thing was cash flowing like there was no tomorrow. They bought it in 2019. 2020 hits. COVID happens. And it's not that their tenants stopped paying. It's that every one of their tenants, they were at like 90% occupancy in this 400 unit building. They all included utilities. The electric and water bills tripled. It moved them flat into the red. They went bankrupt in 6 months. The property was foreclosed and they're done because they couldn't get out of the leases fast enough. They couldn't change the terms fast enough to get the money. And the way it works, if you pay these leases, if you include utilities in the lease, you have to pay them. It's a fully legally enforceable thing. If they're responsible for their electric bill, I don't care if the power's on. If I agree to do it, then I have to do it whether they're paying me or not. And so please do not include utilities. Another really good argument for this is if the tenant is paying their electric and water and those kind of things, they're going to use the same kind of discretion you would use in your own home. Maybe we don't let the shower run for 2 hours. Maybe we don't leave every light on in the house. Just some basic conservation practices. But if you're covering it as the landlord, they won't think twice. And many of these people that you're going to have as tenants have never been homeowners. It doesn't even occur to them. So it's not even malicious. It's just lack of knowledge and lack of financial responsibility. So not including utilities is a really good idea from both a business standpoint and a human nature standpoint. I think that's all I got for the hidden stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's others, but they'd be case by case.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. I know that there are just things we need to watch out for, look out for, and we're not always aware of those. And I think the ones you covered are things that we need to be aware of. So
Hmm.
thank you so much, Brian. If people are watching this video weeks and months into the future, they want to touch base with you and ask you some questions. What's the best way to reach you?
You can go to our website, alwayscapitalllc.com, and that's where you're going to go for any kind of lending you're interested in. If you want to reach out to me directly, you can just send a text to the number on the screen there, the 412-212-6627. I'm easy to get a hold of, but most of the time you guys are probably calling me because you want us to fund your deal, and we're very happy to do that. So if you just head over to the site there, hit that giant yellow borrow funds today button, it's going to bring you to our deal form. And if you just hit borrower there, that's all the different kinds of deals we fund. So fix and flip, fix and hold, buy and hold, cash out, ground up, all that stuff. And so you just pick which one is appropriate for you. And we're going to ask you a ton of questions. By a ton, I mean about 6 or 7. And then we're going to be able to quote you a loan, and I'll be reaching out and calling you with the quote. So really, really easy to find out what's up. If you have no idea what you need, or you need help with structure and all that kind of thing, then just send me a text or an email, and I'll get on a call with you, and we will help you guys structure that deal in the best way.
There you go. And if you guys want to connect with me, scan the turquoise QR code, takes you to my website, jjazizian.com, and you can register for the group. If you want to see some of our recordings of Brian, myself, or some of the 350 interviews we have on our YouTube channel, just scan the purple QR code, and that allows you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Other than that, Brian, I guess we're going to head out. We'll have take everybody back to our the networking aspect of our call. And
Mm-hmm.
Brian, I guess you and I will see everybody else that's on YouTube out in the world of social media and Instagram, Facebook, etc.
Yeah, yeah. See everybody online, and I look forward to talking to you all soon.
Over and out, guys. Thanks a lot.